Hi everyone. So welcome to this session on 30 days to SET Symbiosis Entrance Test. So let's look at the paper pattern. I'm sure by now all those who are going to write SET, they know the paper pattern. Just quick go through. So English, maths, that is quantitative aptitude, and general awareness are 16 questions each, and logical reasoning and analytical reasoning has 12 questions. The important thing to note here is that there is no negative marking. It has 60 questions to be attempted in 60 minutes, no negative marking, which means you should definitely take calculated guesses. It is very important that you mark all 60 questions irrespective whether you know how to solve those questions genuinely or you don't know it. If you know the answer, you mark it. If you don't know the answer, you still take a calculated guess so that in case if it goes, if the answer goes correct, then you get some brownie points. Okay. So let's move on to each section and see what are the heavily tested topic in Symbiosis Entrance Test over last 2 to 3 years, based on which you should be preparing. So if you look at verbal ability, so there will be grammar, vocabulary and idiom. This will be heavily, out of 16 questions, you can say 14, 15 question will be based on this. Maybe one or two question will be based on poem, not reading comprehension. They test you on poem. If you look at here, figure of speech, so in the poem itself, you will be tested a question on figure of speech, or there could be a standalone question which is not a figure of speech, could be probably what the poet wants to convey, and one generic question which is generally you see in poem or a reading comprehension. Also in poem, they test you on the old English word like thee and they, thy, and all those words that they generally test you upon. They try to ask you what does this word mean in the modern English language. So you need to have a fair bit of idea about how the word vocabulary is used in poem. Then mainly out of 16 questions, you will see that half of your paper will be based on grammar. There will be question on tenses, articles, figure of speech, question tag, compound word, adverb, adjective. So not only adverb, adjective, they'll say which of the following, type of adverb or type of adjective. So you need to delve into the detail that you have learned in your school days, like, you have adverb of time, of place, of manner. Similarly for adjective, you need to get into that. For example, they ask you questions on preposition. They ask you what are the type of preposition, compound words, whether like the compound word or a complex word, they need to, you will have to figure that out, so that they go into the technicality of terms that are used in grammar. Then vocabulary and idioms. So you will find couple of questions on vocabulary, which is a filling the blank. Fill in the blank. Now, fill in the blank could be either vocabulary based or it could be based on grammar, where they'll ask you to fill the blank using preposition. Or it will be hardcore vocabulary, where you need to understand what's the usage of the word and you answer it. And there will be a couple of idioms, two odd idioms that we have seen over last 2 years. And these idioms are generic. If you have gone through highly or high frequently used idioms in day-to-day life, I think you should be able to answer the question. So English should not be a challenge. Verbal ability English should not be a lot of challenge. Why? Because out of 16 questions, genuinely students are able to attempt 13, 14. Minimum 13, 14 is genuine attempt that they make it. Obviously, you have to attempt all 16, right? But genuine attempts goes around 13 to 14 is, that's what we have seen student. A fairly prepared student would attempt all 16 questions in English section. If we move to quantitative ability, so again, SET is very sorted when it comes to the breakup of questions or 16 questions. More or less, you will see the questions which are tested from this topic. So a lot of arithmetic questions, percentages, profit and loss, average, ratios, allocation, mixtures, time and work, time per distance. Almost, every topic will have one question. Some of the topic may also have two questions. So almost you can say that, 7, 8 questions will be based on arithmetic. Then there will be question on numbers, very easy, HCF, LCM and divisibility. They will not get into cyclicity, remainder and all those things. They have not been so far. You never know how it would be this year, right? Moving to modern maths, so you will find only permutation, combination, probability, and sequence series. You will not find questions on functions, graphs, inequality, matrices. This question will not be tested. Again, I am saying that they have not been tested so far. We don't know what it would be. But then, if I go back over last 8-10 years history of SET, then they have never tested so difficult question, difficult concept. It's very basic question that they generally test you upon. And in algebra, they'll ask you, some word problem or a quadratic or maybe a linear equation to an extent. So this is how the general breakup of the quantitative ability section is all about. Out of 16 question, one or maximum two question would be slightly lengthy. I'm not saying difficult, they will be slightly lengthy, calculative. Again, when I say lengthy, it might take you 2.5, 3 minutes, not more than that. Otherwise, most of the questions are you will be able to solve in a minute or two. A good prepared, fairly, good prepared student probably will be able to attempt the remaining 14 questions in, all the 14 questions probably would not take more than 14 to 15 minutes. Even if you are moderately prepared and average student, you should be able to done with this section entire 16 questions in maximum 25 minutes, not more than that. It's as easy, as straightforward as it could be. Moving to logical reasoning, again only 12 questions. So you will not find a big set where there are 4 or 5 questions tested, not generally that we have seen in Symbiosis. 1 or 2 questions. 2 questions is maximum. I remember 4 years back there was a set which had 3 questions. Otherwise, Symbiosis has never tested a question which was more than 2 question. So there will be series, number series, alphabet series, sometimes alphanumeric series, coding and decoding, blurred relation, direction sense, an arrangement, circular or a linear arrangement or some matrix arrangement where some 3 by 4 matrix is supposed to be made, not 5 by 5 or 5 by 4, very difficult one. 3 by 4 matrix is supposed to be made. Verbal reasoning will be tested. Out of 12 questions, you can expect around 3 to 5 questions on verbal reasoning. That includes statement argument, statement assumption, statement conclusion, course of action, cause effect, and syllogism to an extent at times. So 3 to 5 questions is what you can expect from verbal reasoning out of this 12 question. Now, this particular section, verbal reasoning, is an area which generally help student to boost their overall score, because as we discussed in English, as we saw maths and the few puzzles and arrangement, now these questions are relatively easier. Students generally don't make mistakes in this question type. Verbal reasoning is something where student tend to make a mistake. Okay, so you need to prepare thoroughly for a verbal reasoning question. They are not very difficult questions that are tested in NPAT or any other exam. Again, relatively easier question. Options are also on the easier side. The option, when I say that, statement assumption, the assumptions are given or arguments are given, they are slightly on the easier side. It's easy to comprehend, easy to eliminate the option. You just need a fair bit of practice, and I think you should be done. Moving to general awareness, again, I mean, in general awareness, anything can be tested. They can ask you anything, right? But what we have seen in past in SET, obviously current affair is something that they can test you anything on current affairs. But apart from that, currency, prizes and awards, Indian geography, important organization, art and culture, like Indian art and culture, headquarters of the, again, important organizations, then Indian symbols, the national symbols like Ashok Chakra or national peacock or national bird, sorry, my bad, national animal, national game, and all those things. And question related to sport. Now, these are the questions that they generally test you upon. Very rarely I have seen question on history or science or physics where definitions are asked and everything. Though you find such question in some other exams, but uh, I haven't come across such question type in Symbiosis SET entrance SET in last 2-3 years. So these are the question type, the area that one should focus upon general awareness when you are preparing for SET. Now, let's look at how your 30-day you should plan for SET. Uh, I'm sure most of you, I would say probably everyone who's writing SET would be writing some or other exam, like they'll be writing NPAT, IPMAT Indore, Rohtak, Kozhikode, CUET, something or other, right? And hence, probably if you see, I have given 30 minutes to QA, VA, and LR, probably in 1 hour of GK, so 2.5 hours of study here. Again, when I say QA, VA, and LR, it doesn't mean that you're preparing only for SET. When you do this topic, obviously you will prepare for other exams. You are automatically preparing for the other exams as well. But the simpler question where speed is important, because it is 60 questions, 60 minutes, you need to practice those quick, probably take 20 questions of con and try to attempt in 30 minutes. Take 30 questions of verbal, try to attempt in 30 minutes. Take 30 questions of logical reasoning, solve, try to attempt in 30 minutes. So that's how you need to be solving. Nothing new, no new concepts that you are going to learn, because the topics which are there in maths are most of the students are comfortable with. Is the speed and the accuracy that you need to be focusing upon. So probably, percentage profit and loss on Monday, then HCF divisibility on Tuesday, average allocation, then PNC probability, moving to age problem, quadratic, word problem, sequence series, and Sunday probably time and work and time per distance. If I move to verbal, grammar, idioms, and phrasal verb keep on alternating. Grammar, idioms, and phrasal verb keep on alternating that. Moving on to logical reasoning, arrangement, puzzles, and verbal reasoning keep on alternating on 3 days: arrangement, puzzle, verbal reasoning, arrangement, puzzle, verbal reasoning. And every Sunday, write 1 hour of SimSET. You have 10 same SET. You need to ensure that every Sunday you are writing one, and closer to the exam, probably every alternate days you will be writing the exam. I am sure some of you will also be writing 2 SETs, correct, on both the date. So you need to save at least 2 or 3 SET for the last second attempt as well, so that in that week you can also write at least 2 SET for your practice. So this is how you should spread out 30 days to ensure that you are focusing on SET preparation as well along with the other examination. A lot of time what happens is student generally, they grammar, that the grammar which is tested in SET, they don't generally pay attention to it, or idioms and phrasal verb is something which is not tested in most of the exams. The student don't pay a lot of attention to it. So you need to ensure that this area is something which you need to be emphasizing or focusing or prioritizing upon. Otherwise, QA and LR is something that you will be doing for all the exams. So, that will be a good amount of overlap in the time spent for SET preparation and for the other exams preparation. So, that's it from my end. If you have any query with respect to SET preparation, how to write the mocks and where to get it, just comment in the comment section. I will ensure that I reply to your comment in 10 to 12 hours. So all the best for your preparation. See you soon with another such sessions on uh, some other exams. Bye bye.